Hi, Vance. Hi, Blue. Oops. Making sure everything is sent. I hasn't. Pick the new place. I'm sure you've been here before. Do you remember the enchanted cave? Yes, yes, it's me. Hold on. Uh, no, that's not it. Is it this one? There you go. Better. The lighting is great. I'm trying to make sure the mood is all proper. But yes, hi. How was everybody? I tried to make the most mundane of worlds. Be presentable. Hmm. But yes, hi. Sorry I'm a bit late. I had stuff to do. Eating my pre work brunch. What did you have? Hello, Fluffy. Miss Benny. And who else have I not said hi to? Me, Dorian, Fluffy, and Hazard did not have fun on Hellmire. In fact, we found out why it's called as such. Did you run into the fire tornadoes? Hellmire. Hi, Beams. There's no leftovers in the fridge, says Vesper. So it's ramen again. You need to cut down on your intake of noodles. It's not very healthy, you know. If I go to the gaming channel, says Blue, I will see a photo of him being engulfed in one. Sure. It's ironic how my stream schedule is now when you guys are playing Helldivers. Hmm. Hi there, Howling. Oh, yes. Very much so. I have yet to get to that. Tomorrow, I'll insult Tarko. How am I flipping the coin? As you would in real life. Thumbs up. Catch. Axel says, Hey Gib, I got virtual desktop up and all running. I can finally go wireless. Congratulations, Axel. I had no doubt that you could. Let's go to my. Ah, yes. Another day, huh? Oh, gosh. So earlier, here I was, playing a whole lot of video games. Helldivers, to be specific. I was playing with a few friends, and it was nice being able to catch up. Oh, so many new war mods. What's this? I remember stopping the game at around the Democratic Detonation 1, and then uh, obviously here I am catching up and picking up where I've left off. What's this? I see a bunch of subs. Oh, and if it isn't Emerald as well, thank you so much. 2 months already, huh? Hmm. Vesper says today is just the kind of day where there's no leftovers in the fridge. So the options are between ramen or canned ravioli. Uh, Not the most exciting, the latter one. Yick. Canned ravioli, huh? Yeah, mushy. You don't even know if it's real, made. Wow, even Crystal has decided to sub. Crystal, shouldn't you be saving your money? As sweet of a gesture as it is to support me. But what can I do? It's already there. Thank you so much. It seems like we're gonna have you as a regular. I'm quite proud of the clothing that you were able to put on your Hydra. Yes, I was glossing over the pictures channel. Oh, wait, no. It wasn't the Hydra. It was your other dragon. It's more of when are you gonna put it on the Hydra, yeah. Crystal says, I got a scholarship. I have a little extra I can spare. Congratulations on being smarter than the average. Either smarter or you're just more diligent in studying. I think you're smarter. My Celeste. If I'm not mistaken, Celeste is. No, it's just a Foxy Paws avatar. I can't remember. Hmm. I do have a friend work on the clothes for the Hydra. Oh, good for you. Hold on. Vexing Cat is gifting one sub, and it's to the Scotsman with a K. Thank you so much. Let me lock myself with Go Go Loco. Set the fly speed to nil. And then we can ever so slowly adjust the camera to something that probably looks a bit more presentable. Like here. There. It's better when I'm facing this way, right? Like here, because it's like I'm reading your messages. Which is what my streams are all about. Ah, yes. What does the streamer do? All but read what chat says. Maybe small snippets about my life, sure. I'll post whips in the 3D art, sure. Wait, no. 3D, if I remember correctly, 3D art is the one made by yourself. Media is the general channel where it's made by other people, whether it's for you or for them. If I remember Vesper categorizing it properly that way. If you will notice, Crystal, most of the art channels will have a little header above a small description on top, so you don't make tiny teeny little mistakes. Why, if it isn't PL? Hi there. Always with the lovely storybook so fantastic doodles. I'm running out of compliments on how to describe your fantastic art. Hello, Wallow. If it isn't Mecha, alright, what's this? Hi there, long time listener, many time a caller. So, question: if a robot needs sleep but there's things to do, what would you suggest? Well, knowing you being an older model of the more analog age, so you're probably running on SLA batteries, lead acids instead of the newer fangled lithium ions, life force, and whatnot. You, in order to get to sleep, must do something called a pulse discharge cycle. It's when you hook up two alligator clips to your main power LEDs, preferably the apparatus in your chest, and then to a battery of a car or an automobile, maybe one of a truck so the amp draw is higher. And then you jumpstart it every second, but never let it go through. So it's gonna drain your energy to such a degree without having to drain you completely, but enough to make you tired and groggy. Hence, you can resume your shutdown, sleepy deepy charging process again. Bad life advice to a robot chat. Imagine just make a hooked up to like a car or something in the garage. I really need to do something about the size of this text font. Maybe if I pop out the window, put it here, drag it ever so carefully open. There we go. Fantastic. Please do not accidentally click the X. There we go. Now, who just decided to rain subscriptions? It would be none other than Wallow Old Life, who was able to get their Twitch working. Wallow, if I remember correctly, is our retail worker who finally managed to get into a managerial position. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ah, good. My memory serves me right. Thank goodness. I love having money is a phrase I bet a lot of us share in common. Where's the camera? Where did I put it? There we go. It's right there. Money, money, money. Fortunately, that's what makes the world go round. We have things such as we have bills, we have like food expenses, we have medical stuff that we gotta save up for just in case, and then we have the insurance, the vehicle, the blah blah blah. Oh, so many. Rent especially. Shucks. Oh hey, my daily midnight dragon is live. Sorry, not daily, by daily. I'm online Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, at least here on Twitch. Dragon, yes, but everybody around me has been teasing it, and I'm a listen, listen, listen. Hmm. Yeah, sis. I've been sleeping all morning and now it's midday. I'm glad I could catch your stream. Yes, I'm almost 2 hours late. Later than what I target to start, but I start late all the time, so this might as well be my new schedule. Gosh, look at all the subscriptions. Over yonder and over here, there is more being rained upon. Thank you so much. How cool of you. I should stop. Please. You can like, space it out, like every other stream, but yes, I appreciate it. Thank you. Mwah. Mwah. Are you lost in a cave? Or is this your den? Oh, please, I don't live in a crummy cave. I'm in an office. I'm just exploring. I'm a little bit outdoorsy, as you can tell. It's, you know. Hi, I'm not permanently cooped up in an office all the time. I go out and touch group. Well, this is rock, so but you get what I mean. Yeah. Touch grass, touch rock. I'm sure it's the same thing. In America, we have to worry about the dragon that is the IRS, the most powerful dragon of them all. Siphoning all your treasure, your hard earned savings. Ah, shucks. Hello, Waffle Car. Pure path. The gold gathering is in progress. You should have a cave echo effect. I used to, but then it was a little bit irritating, so not everybody was a fan of it. Hi there now, Hashan. I remember now dropping by my stream last time, a tiny teeny bit late, but here you are early now. Isn't that the bank? The bank is only just about interest and trapping you in credit. But the IRS is a completely different creature altogether. Also, the mic is working good now. Thanks, Howler. I dialed in some stuff, so it should be much, much more balanced. It was too crispy at first, and it was too muffled on the second one. And then here we are now with a nice and balanced zened out version that you're hearing right now. Well, at least I hope it is. I got my artist glove today. Ah, yes, where you only have it over your pinky and your ring finger. I have the same. I use it for my canvas, Kamvs. I was waiting in ambush this time. Oh dear, oh my. Ambush, huh? Vesper says, I know for a fact I need to donate some old stuffed animals. I just need to find time to. You can donate it to the homeless by putting it in a convenient plastic bag located by the trash, right? No, like I'm not being sarcastic. Then we have an even uglier dragon called the National Debt. Every year we bring a sacrifice of $100 bills to appease its wrath on our grandchildren. National Debt. I think we have something similar. I remember reading an article over at social media, Facebook, about every Filipino citizen is born with around 142,000 pesos of debt. That's roughly $3,000. Like, I didn't even do anything and I'm already in debt. Gosh. To exist is to owe money to other people. Now that's what you call sad. Donating is also a good idea. Donating is always a good thing. So let's all close our eyes, clasp our hands, and chant exclamation point tip and let the goodness of your soul and wallet flow and let your karmic wheel spin so it favors you in return. Or some other BS that I hear from Instagram and TikTok. What's this? Hmm. I would feel bad throwing them away, says Vesper. When I have a then don't throw them away. You keep what's most important. Like, put them all in a line, as in you're going to execute, as in you're going to interrogate each and every one of them, and then look them in their inanimate eyes and try to remember what fond memories you have with each. Blue says, I once donated about 10 inches of hair to an organization that specializes in making wigs. Ah, well, congratulations. If your discarded bodily growths makes another child's day happy, then good for you. Execute memory number 66. Ah, yes. What's this? The helpful changeling says, to exist is to seek a betterment for the whole of our species. Our species. So if you're a hyena, it's only for the betterment of hyenas, not like us hydras or the funny little Rexoniums like Howler who always stares off into space when you talk to them. It's a joke, of course. And of course, Beth decides to show up. Hi, Beth. I thought you were caught up hell diving with the rest. Welcome to the stream. And Beth says, or just have a room overflowing with stuffed animals. Yes. I think that would be a problem once dust starts to accumulate because you have so much you need to bring out and like do that. I mean, okay, so you have a room, it's just filled with everything to the brim. And then one day the weather decides to be particularly humid. Like it's been raining for a few days. And then mold starts to grow on your precious little stuffed toys, which is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Ah, it's a joke. It's not a joke. You know, jokes are half meant. What's this? Nerves on my ring finger aren't working properly. Come on, there we go. On that planet, though, so much fire. I gotta play with Beth one of these days. I feel bad. He was online the other day and I wasn't able to join. I will catch up. You know, Beth, you could have joined me. It was just me and Axiom earlier. I dare not intrude upon blue, fluffy Axels and Doran's quirky little squad. Oh dear, oh my. What is this? More positive spam. It's like the Nigerian prince emails, but actually sending you stuff. Thank you so much, Wallow. It was bugging me. It said 25. Right, we gotta round that up into like the multiples of 10. What do you mean by quirky? Oh, please. You guys have such character. It was a bit janky. Ah, well, next time I'll make sure to shoot you and invite them. Lauren kept kicking me and sending me flying. I see. How about this? If and when I do decide to drop in with the game, those that are able to escort and protect yours truly may get server sided related rewards. Experience levels. Be like, ah, Axel, would you please drop a 380 over at that site? Protect the innocent camp. Yes, I am very low level. Hmm, I can protect. I can protect with fire as long as you're not a moth like Drawn to the flame, I see. Liberty. Oh, sweet Liberty, my leg. What's this? This is my first visit to the stream in a bit, but my morning is just sitting in a coffee shop trying to practice drawing manukits. Manukits, I remember them having rather prominent noses. Hmm. They also have like four ears. I can't quite recall. Had a very canine sort of design. As long as you aren't in front of me, I can protect you very well. Do note, I run either an AR or the Eruptor. That's it. I don't bring any stratagems like the bombs with the barrages. It's always either one or two sentries, my handy dandy railgun, or Quasar, and my little dog of a drone that hovers with the Liberator in tow. Is your throat not straining throughout the stream? Oh, no, no. It would strain. Also, hi there, Enzo. It would strain if I was trying to put up a voice that isn't my usual. I can't even do the high pitch ones. But yeah. I've been really mixing up what I bring lately, of course. I If there's one thing I made an oath out of is to not use laser weaponry. Explosive plasma is the exception, sure. Oh, a hydrate, sure. I do have me some grape juice here. You guys need to drink too. Yeah, sure. Hey, Stretch, huh? Crystal says, it's been so long since I've had grape juice. So good, but so many sugars. That's why you choose the lesser evil, the sugar-free ones, the one with the aspartame and whatever funny chemicals that won't give you diabetes, but something else. I'm good with fire. So we have Beth here being the fire bat. Need a light. Slamming. Ugh, I miss StarCraft now. Gotta get a bowl of cereal to drink some milk. Sure. Yes. A case in point, as with what Blue said, a rather quirky squad. So we have the Hell Jumper. I've seen Blue sport the ODST armor over at Helldivers. What's this? Howler says I kept the Warcraft Frozen Throne more than StarCraft. Same here, because of all the custom maps. Of course, there was Dota 6.21, and then there was Enfos, the tower defense thing. There was even the so much stuff with the heroes. It was always fun. There's a full crossover for all consoles and PC. Ah, I see. You see, when I play Helldivers, I only either play alone or with friends. I never play with randoms anymore. But then again, here we have Fluffy sponsoring Escape from Tarkov. So I will probably be trying that tomorrow, given that it's my free. Not only tomorrow, Sunday as well, isn't it? I can actually catch up on my games now. Fantastic. Tarkov, huh? So I got two keys. It was the base game and then the PvE one, which was separate for some reason. Hmm. If ever you need help in Tarkov, you're the first guy I'm gonna contact. From what I've seen of Tarkov in the small snippets of videos, it's it's PUBG with Stalker with Arma in it. I which is cool. It's just fantastic. I've always been a fan of Arma 3, the King of the Hill mode. I'm the type of player who doesn't mind sitting in one spot for 1 hour, just overlooking one window. I'm a camper, chat. I'm sorry. I'm the biggest camper of them all. And I need like a machine gun with like a times 8 or 10 AMS scope. Yes. I fed myself the tastiest cream and blueberry muffin. Blueberry muffin Pierre. Hi there, Fuego. Oh, I have Armory Forger. Oh my goodness, who's gonna become the chopper pilot? Are we all gonna go in the van and then just, like. Good evening, Trance. Do you like lemon flavored stuff? Asked Wallow to Pierre. Walmart has this delicious lemon blueberry crumble oh, delicious. What's your usual loadout in Helldivers? Like what armor do you use? Primary, secondary, grenade? You will have to see one time in game. One of my favorite heroes in For Honor was the Centurion. So, you may have an idea from that alone. Deploy bipod and wait. Same here. I'm a bipod worm. Okay, a bit of a left turn. How do you speak fluent in English, although you're a naturally spoken Filipino? Is it influence, knowledge through academics? A number of factors, but all of these, mingled with each other. My upbringing, where I chose to speak English instead of Tagalog because for some odd reason, when I was younger, I didn't like my mother tongue. I prided myself in being able to read English books when I was in first grade. And then I suppose it's just subconscious practice. I never really took English speaking lessons in particular. Uh, I kind of just used the language, and that's how it came to be. There was something I wanted to ask you, Gab. Are you asking about my watch? Why it's 67860 in particular. So you want to decode the little thing? Or no? Are you talking about the levels? Oh, it was the levels, right. The 3270. I wonder why. What could it be? Why 327? Do you rearrange it and you turn it into alphanumeric? Something will pop up. I wonder. The inquisitive mind would probe deeper and see the details, the patterns. That's what it could mean. Learning language by immersion is the best way to learn. I agree. It's one thing to memorize it from books and whatnot. It's another to hear the little nuances accompanied by the body language of the person, right? Because universally, for example, when you go to another country and then they say like that, like no, no, it means like no. If you cannot see the gesture being done and all you hear is the words, it's much harder to interpret. A body language is a big portion of communication. I dare say the other half. The Crusader. Are you talking about the what's his name again? He had like the crown of thorns and the big shield and the long sword. Pierces. My first, my friend's first language was Italian. He learned English through Markiplier and the shows and movies. I see. All of her life was learning German for a hot minute. Conqueror. Same here. Conqueror is my favorite. Me and my best friend the flail and the shield bash. I'm glad you picked up on English quite quickly, Doran. Crystal says, I'm trying to learn Spanish now. It's not easy, but it's worth it. I'm sure you got this. Your head still has a lot of space for things to cram into. I suck at learning any languages. I still don't know Spanish. And here it is, Beth being immersed as immersed could be, being deep into the forests of Bolivia. I just wish I could get rid of this God's damned accent. I'm sure you sound lovely, Doran. Precisely. Character. You know, there was a time too in my life where I felt unhappy about what I am. Because I was younger, um I was immersed in uh J-pop, and then it turned into K-pop, J-rock, and everything like that. And I looked up to all of these anime-looking people, and here I am being a dull Filipino boy, nothing special. And I said, you know what? I suck. I wish I sounded like them. I would look like them, had their hair. And I tried for like styling like them and dressing up. And then I said, I'm just trying to force myself to be something, like so much effort to be something else. And then what I did was I learned to love myself. It's like, you know what? Let's replace the posters. Instead of them, make it you. Self love. Like Gab, you want to learn how to love yourself more. Don't try to conform your feet to the shape of another man's shoes. So what I did was, when I was 15 years old, I started working out religiously because I was both fat when I was very young and then no, like chubby, and then I turned very skinny around the graduation of high school. And then I pushed myself to work out for what 7 years. And so that immediately puts me above 21 years old, Shatter 22 if my math's correct. So here I am working out, and then it started tapering off until it's just maintenance like nowadays. But the payoff was enormous. I felt proud that I started looking better, I started feeling better, performing better, and that I was able to instill the discipline into myself towards something. I was able to overcome a hurdle by challenging myself with each passing day and learning to accept my little wins, my little rewards, no matter how minuscule. Performing better, yeah. I could run longer, I could run faster, I could lift more for longer periods of time. And it did me great during college. Wallow for life says, sometimes metabolism switches, sometimes it doesn't. I should get myself to working out too. But never too late to do so. Have you seen the Chinese? You know, they're working out even though they're 70, 80, very fit. They have like a group of elderly men all meeting up in the morning in the park, doing like gymnastics and whatnot. And I'm impressed. There's no excuse to be unfit. There's really no excuse. Just gotta put your mind into things. Yeah, there are days where I'm lazy too, sure. Working out is fun, it is, isn't it? Hi there, Kai. A pleasure to see you here on stream. Since my trial is back, I can finally take some time. My trial? Is that what you call the guy? Oh my god, man. Okay, that's. My trial. Sorry, like my controller snagged on my headset. We still need to catch Mecha for workouts too. That is true. We do need to work out, don't we? Now that I have free time, I was thinking of jump starting it sometime this weekend. Yes, hello, chat. Hello. I think the moon is over there, Pure. Nice. Vesper and I work out buddies. Whoever wishes to join in our little exercise things in the I'm thinking of hosting exercise classes as well for those that wish to hop into VR and have a little yoga or like an hour and a half thing. It's something I used to do, I think, twice a week in VR before. Would love to join. Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter if you have full body or not. Minimum is you have like a headset at least. But it's really fun. I will target doing something maybe Saturday. Sometime Sunday. How about that? Let's have instead of a community meet that's just hanging out and sitting around, it's going to be a community exercise meet. You can just watch on the side, dude. It doesn't matter. Don't force yourself. One day you'll appear in the news. VR chat furries in the Philippines. Please. There's already so much. I want to be not associated with any groups here locally. Time in comparison to now. Now is 12:34 a.m. The workout, I'm flexible, but Mecha isn't. Let's assume the workout is 4 hours prior to now, or 6 hours from now. So 4 hours before the stream, or like 6 hours after, or something like that. Gonna have to set up my quest. 2 years of heavy workouts, Doran. My Quest Pro is still working. The secret is not to work out without AC. I'm watching on mute because I'm watching lecture videos. So you are just seeing me. Refrigerators. I'm gonna watch until my phone dies. Sure. Both my managers are on vacation, I see. That'll be fun. Probably before I open the workout things, I will go try it out with some people first. Think of it as beta testing. Like it's like me, Vesper, and then maybe two other people. And then there's gonna be the community thing, which we can jumpstart. And yes, I have to talk to Mecha too. So if he's willing to spearhead the activity. Ain't it cool working out with friends in the form that you best wish to present yourself with? Right? Don't have to worry about funny smells and sweat on shared gym equipment. No, of course not. You're in VR chat. But achieving the same goal, the same effect. Refrigerator. I can be in my home gym while being in VR. Imagine. So, instead of Fluffy putting on his headset while, on his motorcycle, he's gonna have it on his home gym instead, yes. I'm glad you have a home gym, Fluffy. It's maybe in the next step from my apartment when I save for a small home, I will allocate like a activity area in my house. But that's really super duper far away. Crystal says, my BF study dual access a workout space in the gaming space. Does this mean Crystal's gonna go work out with us? It's lovely, no waiting times. You see, Fluffy, not everybody is well off slash wealthy like you. Imagine having a BMW liter bike. If I'm not busy, then yes. Good, we are having more people wanting to sign up. Or Howler is going to join 100%, or else he's gonna wake up one day without the badge. Vesper is going to be there, and let's see if we can drag Kai as well. I know you're lurking somewhere there in the corner. Beth says they sadly won't allow me to ship myself weights. Beth, one of the things I used to do when I was stuck in the province for like a week, like 3 weeks or a month. And I said, there's no gym here. What I did was I got some old plumbing and then 2 clay pots, right? 2 clay pots for plants. And then I filled them with cement and some gravel. And 2 days later, I had makeshift weights. Yeah, they were around 30 pounds only, but yeah. I definitely join. I gotta work out more. Ah, Dorian too. All right. I just tend to do running and push-ups, and so we have Beth still in shape and everything, which is good. There are 2 key things that I know we need to take care of as we grow older, Beth. One is the knees, and number 2, It's like the lower back. Very prone to being pulled. Yeah. What about the neck? Oh, neck's okay. I think we get plenty of exercise with our neck from the heavy headsets that we wear in VR anyway. My knees sound like Rice Krispies. May- Maybe he needs need to get a syringe and get all the gas out. I think all of us, maybe not Fluffy, I bet he looks great. I think most of us here would wish, if given the choice and the convenience to do so, and the right company, to look and be in better shape. I know I do. I'm never gonna give up on myself. No. I mean, sure, I'll come to terms with what comes with the years, but at least I'll be doing preventive measures. I join into the workout, but I hope my trackers arrive before. The workouts will probably be sometime next week, Fluffy. Like, we can make it on every Saturday or Sunday session. Track says I'm pretty fit, but my body cracks like a glow stick whenever I basically do anything. Ah, so you're made of Rice Krispies like Bev. Crystal says, I've been trying to lose weight for a month now. I've lost 7 pounds. Congratulations. I'm overweight and I'm really excited by my progress. You just keep at it. Just no matter how slow, if like you have a dip in like the progress, it's okay. 0.1% is still 0.1% of progress. Keep it up, Crystal. I know you can do it. Says the guy who ate like 3 pounds worth of okonomiyaki for dinner because he was craving. No trackers for me until 10. Luffy says I'm ugly as hell. Why does guy work out? You know, that's actually fair. If you lack the confidence in your visual presentation, exercise is pretty much always a good thing. Beth says, biggest issue I got is metabolism is zero. 1 meal a day is great. Oh, so Beth has the winter diesel engine body going on. I see. Ah, okay. We're fine. We'll adapt to it. Blue says, my cat loves my beard too much. It's just, all right, yes, Blue, I know you get the pussy cat, you know, here. I'm surprised the girl best friend hasn't been brought up today. Should I go work out now? Go ahead. If you want, you can listen to the stream on your phone or speakers while doing so. I was thinking the same, Ken. Right. You know when you starting those engines. Oh my goodness. Pierre here seems to have a fast metabolism, needing like 5 foods a day. I have, I think 2 or 3. I have brunch, and yeah, I have brunch, and then I have dinner, and then maybe a teeny tiny small snack like a spoon or two of rice, equivalent with some of the chicken or whatever is left. Bye, Geb. Classes time. I'll see you around, Axel. Focus on your classes, okay? I'm glad you got your wireless VR working. Did Drax ever return? He never left. You know me, we were just teasing fun at him. Spoiler, he won't focus on his class. I'm glad the dungeon is actually slowing down. I remember the first day that channel got open. So many people, so many people got claimed by said dungeon. The dungeon is like a bot RPG channel in the server. I was so focused. It's addicting, isn't it? Slash explore. Just one more slash explore. Just one more, just one more. Beth, on the other hand, kept on losing money. Every time I look, I get robbed 5 times. The people in the server simply love their benevolent demon king. Imagine having little minions, little gremlins just like sneaking around. What the demon king is like sleeping. You're welcome. I think they think I'm a pinata. An adorbs pinatas. Oh, oh, it was Mecca. I'm gonna take apart my queen bed soon. Now what's this? To have more VR space in my office. Oh, okay. Beth continues. I need to move my setup for more space. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. Oh, Pierre seems to have failed his little robbery attempt at the Demon King. Mhm. It's almost 1 hour. My goodness, how quickly time flies. I have the mattress off and everything out, just the frame itself left. All heroes rob the Demon King of all his wealth. Yeah, good luck with that, Blue. Rob the Demon King of his wealth. What do you think of math, Geb? Mathematics. Uh, I'm glad it's a requirement that I'm over with. I think the mathematics I excelled at the most was this thing called business math. Because I had such a difficult time with math. If it's something that I can't image myself applying in real life. Like, for example, when I open the doorknob or go to a 7-Eleven, do I have to compute for the radius of this and that raised to the third power over 12? Right? You see what I mean? But when it's like thinking about money, it just works. The equations works. It's more of practical math that I was able to grasp better. Algebra, statistics. Yeah. Did not do great. Oh. Blue Scale says, Mom wants me to meet her at the station in half an hour. She has a lot of heavy bags. I'll be lurking. Alright, enjoy walking your mom with her bags walking. Right, accompanying your mom. Yeah, I'm gonna walk my mom with the bags. Precisely. What about reading books? Oh, when I was young, I did not have access to internet at all. I actually only had access to internet around high school. So what I did have access to would be the set of encyclopedias my mom would keep. It was what, 20 plus volumes of it? It was a whole bookcase of it. And well, I did what any other kid with no computer, no internet would read. Yes, I read every single page, and I think that's where I got most of my general knowledge. So I understood more in subjects such as science and history and English when it came to school. But now reading paperbacks that are fiction, I've been spoiled by manga and webtoons so much. I am having a hard time going back into reading just purely written material. I used to read a lot of fan fiction before. What fictional book series was your favorite? None. You're a nerd. Probably. Aragon? Was it Aragon, the funny blue dragon with the horribly looking face? The one dragon movie I really liked before was this movie involving Sean Connery as the voice actor. It was this movie called Dragonheart. Dragonheart 1 and then Dragonheart 2. A knight is sworn to valor. Yes. Oh, hi there, Drax. Welcome back. I hope the hive didn't burn. Nat says, I mean, if you want a decent fictional book series, what's this? Percy Jackson. Oh, I'm good. I'm nowadays. I'm more of just if it's not a Wikipedia thing, I'm just gonna watch like the movies. Dragonheart 1 was, I believe, the first movie. I cried to it too. I was like, no, what? He's spoilers. He's dying. Oh no, no, can't be. Oh no. What does it go? Da, 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 da. You know when it starts playing the OST. Da, 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 da. I was like, no, wait. Oh my god. The book was so much better and interesting. Ready Player One. I remember watching that film. It was. I think it needed more time, like more like an extended version of it, given all the characters that was shown. I'm surprised they got the license to so much. Interstellar is a top recommend. Really nice film. Eh, Fantastic musical score. BRB, I'm going to grab tools to disassemble the battery. Good luck, Crystal. What's this? Ready Player One was a book that was fan service for nerds when it came out. It was so good. The movie was fan service for nerds when it came out, and if there was one movie I really loved, it was the first Pacific Rim. I remember seeing it in the theater, and then I could really like feel the punches and everything, and it was I'm a dork for like mecha and robots. Neither Equinox. Welcome. Oh, I mean, I didn't watch all of the Gundam, but I've played ever since before the old Mech Warrior series, and I played online. Yes, it was difficult as heck to control because you had to use the numpad as well. Um, I played Hawken. I played Titanfall. I played what else? Has like mechs and whatnot. I played Anthem despite it being axed, sadly. But yeah, Gundam. To me, Gundam was the mechs were just secondary. It was predominantly just a space opera and politics. I was like, "Ah, no. What I want is the engineering, the pushing machines to the test, experimental tech against huge enemies and whatnot. Have you watched Knights of Sidonia? For example, it's an anime, and I've read it. Um, what is your favorite kaiju in Pacific Rim? I don't know. It clearly wasn't. Was it the big gorilla looking thing? I just get ads. Oh dear. Oh, knife head, yeah. But I wasn't really focused on the kaijus. I was rooting for the mechs. Good morning, Gib. Sorry I'm late to the show. Don't apologize. You didn't buy any tickets in the first place. Beth, thanks for the sub to Trax. I'm sure Trax will now enjoy being adless for a month. Don't worry about it. Ah, Beth the Benevolent. Thanks, Beth. Knights of Sidonia. Yeah, yeah, I watched it. I think the pink girl alien mech thing was cute. Then again, I pretty much think any female whatever is cute. The most absurd mecha anime I watched was Gurren Lagann because near the end, at first it was cool robots and whatnot, and then it scales up so much to such an absurd degree. You would have two mechs fight each other by throwing galaxies each other's like shurikens. Like what? What? I was so caught off guard. Like, oh wow. Gosh. Hmm. Galaxy verse. How do you even grasp a galaxy? Well, you clearly have must not be here on stream then, White Arn. Yeah, we go focus on recovery. See you around, Blue. No, say hello to your mom for us. It's like, Mom, me and my online friends, they wanted to say hello to you. I remember watching that before school every morning. See you around, Cranks. Lovely. No skipped frames. Thank you so much for cooperating. Stuck on this one track since earlier. I mean, I don't hate it, Blue, because cardio is actually necessary. I find it challenging, that's for sure. It's like, oh man. I find it challenging because I do not live in ideal conditions meant for jogging. So you have 40 degrees Celsius above temperatures, very high humidity, lots of dust and smog. So I do not look forward to that part. But if it's a nice, lovely morning jog on like manicured lawns and smooth pavement with no vehicles left and right, yeah. Running at 40 degrees? No. So, those of you guys living in nice cold countries, you guys are taking your place for granted, I swear. If I lived in such a beautiful environment, that's you guys. Gosh. Alice Lunaria says, in a most wholesome message too, Hey Geb, I've been a lurker for a little while. I just wanted to say your streams sometimes brings me the peace I need. Well, I'm glad I could be the calming corner of the internet. And hope you're doing okay. Beth has it challenging. Low oxygen levels at 12,000 feet. Yeah, that is indeed challenging, Beth. My goodness, that high. The air must be so thin. I'm gonna go hydrate, Chan. You need to go hydrate as well if you haven't. Come on, drink with me. Tasty. Ah, well, I too ran into landlord problems a couple of years back. It was terrible. Ended up being homeless. I'm glad that chapter is over. All I can do really is wish you the best of luck. Bev, you sure that's the result of smoking? Asked Pierre. Oh, Bev has his American ways of reinforcing his cardiovascular system. 98% SpO2. No, oxygen rate. Sorry, SpO2 is the thing in like your smartwatch. How many days was I given? Like 5 days notice to vacate the premises. Let me alt tab super quick. I don't have a smartwatch. I don't trust technology. Beth is more of an abacus sort of person. Note to self, no fuel injected motorcycles around our body. True. You know, there are certain things, elements in around me that I wish I could keep completely analog. Now, how do I say this? Nowadays, everything is just connected to the Wi-Fi and it needs an account. Can you believe my air purifier has Wi-Fi access? Fuel injected is fine. I hate adjusting a car. Synchronizing the carbs is terrible in an inline four engine. Oh. Unless you have like the special machine, like the vacuum tube thingamabob. Hi there, Shizuku. Blue, don't you have to be with your mom? I'm doing great too. Thanks. I'm on my way to the station. Please do not trip while viewing me on your mobile device. I always just stuck a fluke on it and read the voltage to figure it out. Alien, nah. Alien. I call you Alien. Alien says, nice to meet you in I mean, I would say that if we run into each other in VR, but hi there all the same. Welcome to the streams. Baldo says, right, I'm gonna start my third flight. Third flight. Well, good luck and thank you so much for the subs earlier. I really appreciate it. I hope you don't stall. I mean, that's good, right? Yes. Bev says, Blue, since you hate cardio, what are you going to do with your girl best friend? Wow, Bev, that's kind of jumping straight into the pan of fire. Like, Blue is young. He probably has the stamina for whatever is required of it. You'd be surprised how much eagerness can push the body. To jog and play games on the couch. For the Netflix marathons, the Netflix and chills that they're probably gonna end up doing. I'm on the 6th to 9th episode. Like you're watching one of those long animes, right? Like 69th episode, One Piece. Yeah, you go, Blue. Blue continues on. She loves walking. I hate it. She made me walk with her for 4 hours straight and I nearly passed out. So, Blue is being conditioned. You, 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 you probably should. You know, if I were you, I would do that 4 hour walk. and tell her, yes, see, I can do it and I can last longer. Like 5 hours work. Bed frame is in pieces as crystal. Now to put it away in the closet. Yep, bye bed frame. I do mean walking, by the way. I do like cycling, however. Hmm. Yeah, sure, that works. Cycling, like gear levers, you're like, yeah, that's a valid exercise, Blue. Brakes. Man's not gonna be doing any cardio then. Yeah, but I took a really good photo of you. You should check out in the photo channel. Alright. Good photo. I mean, this little rock. Alright. You know, I'm gonna let that slide. It does look nice. But that should be posted in the VR chat category. Please and thank you. What's this? I can see Crystal posting a bunch of clothes for the Hydra. Oh, okay, okay. Wow, very bell bottom jeans, magical girl outfit, all white. Ooh, that's a really gaudy bottom, but I like the top. Hmm. Interesting. What's this? We've cycled a few times together, and I was able to go ahead of her most of the time. My sweet summer child. I actually didn't learn how to ride a bike until the pandemic, says Pierre. I was really afraid of falling. Oh, trust me. Falling off a bike is nothing. Crashing into a tree is nothing. So take it from a guy who's experienced in sudden stops involving two wheelers and being airborne. Signal here is so bad, so Steam keeps breaking up for me. Focus on that thing you're doing. Vesper says, magical girl outfits are always so cute. I just don't like skirts, and that's my only one issue. Oh, you and me both. Yes, I don't like skirts being worn either. Crashing into a minivan. It wasn't the minivan. It was the Toyota Hiace. It was the big, or was it the Grandia? It was a big white van and meant to bring families around the country. And I somehow ended up underneath it. A few scrapes and bruises. And for a few dollars less in my wallet, but I did end up having a nice conversation with an old lady. While I was sitting next to the van with the wrecked fender. Crashing on a bike ain't that bad, right, Fluffy? Like Fluffy, you just how do we say binyag in English? You gotta brand your S1K with maybe something harmless like a slide and whatnot. Hello, Metal Goat. Yeah, do you like cycling? I actually love mountain biking. Not the serious one, I just had the mountain bike when I was younger. I would go around town and every day and sit in some patches of grass or like vacant lots and just enjoy the view and the sun, the air. That was nice. And then I would come home hungry, looking forward to food that my mom would probably have been prepared by then. That was a simpler life. Huh. I could not handle the adrenaline of crashing. Oh, you'll be fine. It's what keeps you standing up. Spaghetti and the meatballs. Enjoy. Sounds good. Especially when there's a lot of cheese. Like a 3-inch block of cheese that you just grate and then you pour it into the a bolognese sauce. When I used to race, I actually learned how to crash properly. High five. Except I suspect, Fluffy, you were taught how to slide and crash in circuit racing. I was taught how it was in enduro riding, like in off road, in off road situations. I don't know how to do it in circuit, but I got an impromptu lesson when I was thrown into a traffic sign at around 80. Yep, fun times. I was quite literally belly dancing for like a good second. Except it was just my belly against the pole and then like boom and then I folded. Like I folded into it and then I slid down. It's just the funniest thing. And then yeah, that's what happened. It's funny now that I think about it. Oh my god. Wallow, thanks. I thought you had to go. Oh my god. Of course, Beth is not gonna let it up. Mm-mm. Gonna have the top spot, I see. Had to follow your lead, Wallow. It's tax free here. The IRS doesn't touch this as much. But yes. Ooh. Speaking of which, I have to enroll my automatic my electric bill. I got it via mail, so it's the snail mail. Now I have to enroll it so I get an email of what my bill is every month instead of having to wait for like the paper to arrive. Hold on, let me just put this back on. Yeah, that's a bit more rough than sliding over concrete. Yep. And when I crashed, I was just using the cheapy $30 AliExpress motorcycle jackets. You know, the non-CE rated stuff. See you around, Blue. Have fun. The IRS. No, I said nothing. You guys are awesome. Please keep on collecting the people's money and give them to me. Great job. First, it was the government of Lithuania. Surely those aren't misappropriated government funding. Now it's the IRS. How interesting. Hope it's not the FBI. That'd be so funny. FBI, the Men in Black. AliExpress gear is the best gear, right? Because it's meant to survive maybe one crash, and then you can throw it away, buy a new one for $30. Ironwolf says I used to race moto track, but I crashed into a wall at 120 miles per hour. Wow. Okay. And when I was young, and since I haven't done anything since, mostly because death is a fear and luck you never want to achieve. My fear unlock was when I was with my friend. Disclaimer, my friend had a waiver, dear FBI. It was clearly not me pressuring them to accompany me to ride into the mountains because he had nothing better to do. Like, bro, go with me. I mean, of course you want to go with me. Fine. Why not? So we were in the mountains, like the twisties, right? In one of the twisties, I didn't notice. I was using an older bike by then. I think I used the wrong brake fluid. I had brake fade. I was like, we're not stopping. I was just like on the intercom with them. I told them, hey man, just prepare yourself, okay? It was that feeling because I was going down. It was downhill too. And then there was an elbow, like the one that does that. While we were in this part, the brake fade hit, and then it was a cliff. Like a high ass cliff. And I said, oh damn, so this is how it is. How it happens, huh? You know what I did? Even the rear brake wasn't helping. I was very weak. I just I had to put my foot down the hardest I ever could, to the point that the soles of my boots, my riding boots, like borderline disappeared. It was just like the interface between the hard part and like the white cloth underneath, whatever. And miraculously, thanks to some careful maneuvering, some foot stopping power, and some gear lowering, we were able to not overshoot. And he was wondering the whole time, what are you doing? And I said, don't worry about it. It's not like we almost died or anything because I lost control. He's like, what? Please. And then we just drove off. Yeah. Oh my god, that was a funny 2020. I don't even remember. Oh my god, 2017, I think. At least there was not a bus. Yeah, to those of you that are familiar with the place, we were riding to this area called the Kaibiyang Tunnel. So it's around 50 kilometers south of the city. 50 or 70, I don't remember. And then, yeah, you have to go through some carved mountains. And the roads are not the best. There's sand. It's only 2 lanes or 1.5 lanes wide. And it was steep. Man, was it steep at some portions. It was nuts. But yeah. I didn't know there was a difference between dot 3, dot 4, and dot 5, like brake fluid back then. I was very inexperienced as a rider when it came to the technicalities. I'm doing good, Stars. Hello, Alex. Arno says I used to love riding street bikes and twisties. We had a long stretch of road called the Dragon's Tail. Ever since I got my Harley, I haven't gone back to crotch rockets. I leave the crotch rockets to Fluffy. I have no, hiccups. There's no real opportunity to enjoy them here in this country. It's always gotta be the cruisers or dual sport bikes. And I'm a big fan of dual sport bikes because most of the time you're gonna end up in a flooded area or just plain no road. Oh yeah, you can always lurk silently, Seth. Just follow the handbook, that's all I ask of you. Yeah, but you guys in the German highways are beautifully paved roads and very long stretches of it. Lucky. Oh, the blackbird. Okay. I remember seeing a picture of Matthew just like lounging around while watching me. Hi, Matthew. I hope you're enjoying your stay at the sofa. I accidentally tipped over my little bottle. Thank you for being closed. I am. Speaking of relaxed, it's nice not having to realign every few minutes. Guys, I gotta go, Drona, but it's been lovely. I'll see you around, Beebs. Bye. Let's see. Discord, Discord, Discord. I see Red with the doggy. That's cute. Iron Wall with a fantastic photo. Matthew lying down lazily on the couch. Oh, you're in the boat. I remember that world. And Mitzi's eyes, Minnie's eyes. Everybody's still in the drive-through. Okay. Everyone act natural. Okay. Ah, I'm gonna curse you with improved bitrate for 5 minutes. Hmm. It's already an hour and 37. Gosh, how quickly time flies. He's observing. Of course, I'm observing. Um, alright. I love the view. It's so gorgeous, right? And look at it. Can't stop staring. Dorian did not appreciate it. She wanted the crunch. Should I put it back, Bev? FBI might complain. Smile and wave. You know, with such a gorgeous view, I think the music deserves a bit of a change. Let's see. Let's listen to this. Yeah, but I'm being lied about. All right. Since Doran absolutely loathes being able to hear clearly, let's put it back to the crunch. Thank you, Beth. I'm glad you were able to relay the message of our friend here. Oh, it's a drive-through, Matthew. It's about the audio quality. Hi there, Linozino. Or is it Linzin? Criminal lizard. Criminal? I'm just relaxing here. I get. Are you more of a criminal in the savvy? Me, a criminal? Please. I was a thief once. A thief born out of uncertainty in investment. But that was an act done but once. So, I've put all that behind me. Now I'm an investigator of sorts. I poke my nose in curious things, places, beings, and people and situations. You name it. I have my trusty partner, Vesper, and my compatriots who are, well, we have Matthew is doing some, let's call it immersion work. We have Howler doing the same, my ever trusty secretary. What's this? We have a raid from Swordberries. Hi there, Swordberries. Welcome to the stream. What have you been up to, along with the rest of your chat? We were DJing on Valorant. I see. Hope you guys had fun. What's this? There was an interesting question that popped up. Gebos, says Lord Zizo, you are a very interesting character that I've seen since now. Couldn't believe it was that a furry can look as you. If it's about aesthetics, there's a lot of us. Like Crystal here is a Hydra at times as well as Minnie. But I appreciate the compliments. Hmm, thanks. Have to relax with Kev. Hey, Sword. I know pretty much after every stream, the streamer is tired, so I won't hold it against you if you gotta go. Get your rest, get some water, go hydrate, get that snack, stand up and stretch, get your circulation going again. Hi there, Luma. Stormfront. Wow. Lots of new names. Oh, Beth is talking about the verification channel over at the Discord. Yes, it's a little bit of a tricky thing to get into. We're going back. Pardon if my music is loud, Pierre. Not the speedcore that you listen to. Do you have a suit or do you plan on ever having one? A fursuit? I have a video specifically addressing that question. My answer is no. I really don't plan on doing so either. I'm perfectly fine just being my digital self, really. Much more articulation and expression than I can ever do IRL. It's clearly in the books. I don't know about that, Howler. I'm I'm good. Mom says hi, guys. Hello, Mom. This is my first stream, but I'm instantly a fan. I love the design work. Thank you, Stormfront. Pardon, there's really not much that goes on in this channel most of the time. It's just conversations, company, people, little stories, snippets in life, whatever little bit of wisdom I can scrounge from the various experiences I've had. Wallow says about the suit. Yeah, I want to get one, but it sucks how expensive they are. So hopefully I can save up money. Today doesn't count. I will use that 9K to secure me like almost a couple of months worth of rent instead. So I can take like a few weeks off from streaming and get my head back into tip top shape, recover, without having to worry about not having food on the table or me being evicted. Is that your tale? Yes, it's my tale. Right? Here's the full view. Hi. Very, very small me here. Oh, you got a better view. Big tail. It just looks that way because of the perspective. See, if I have this here, look, it appears closer, right? Hi, Blue Scales Bomb. I'll see you. Beth being the uncle that hits on them, of course. What's surprising? Oh, you don't like the angle? My bad, chat. I'll be back, don't worry. Hi, chat. Who ruined it for us? Ruined? I thought you didn't like the view, so I changed it. You have more face instead. If I win the Powerball on Saturday. Yeah, just donate it instead, please. Who says, oh my goodness, now I actually want beans on toast. I reckon I'll have cheese grated on top and melted on. Anything better than the toast sandwich of an atrocity you showed me the other day. No, that's a long goal, Wallow. Arnage said I'm on mute over there, and where's Vesper? She is currently serving a bunch of customers over at retail. She's doing work. She's currently serving facts. It says, unfortunately, I live in Wyoming, so nobody wins here like ever. Really. I still haven't tried beans and toast. I think the beauty of bread, even sliced bread, sliced white garden variety bread in the supermarket, it's that you can dip it into pretty much anything and it'll be pretty much edible. Just my personal favorite with white bread is that isn't peanut butter or jam, is Spanish sardines mashed up. Or this thing I've tried in this Turkish place. It's kifa. I think it's called kifa. It's like some diced pork and whatnot, along with some keema. It's called keema. It's like diced pork with some tomato sauce, and I don't know what herbs they use. It's very good. I can hear the beeping noise in the register from here. Poor Vesper. Boop, boop. Would you like that bagged, sir? Boop. Please try today. Today, I plan on doing two things: catching up on some much needed VR chat time, and two, maybe some video games. The trees are speaking Vietnamese. Oh no, drop the napalm. Inhale, divers. Banana bread. Yeah, banana bread is delicious. Um, have you tried banana pancakes, Pierre? But there's banana bread. It's nice, thick, and fluffy. But banana pancakes are something else that I would suggest. Very easy to make as well. Just gotta mash some boiled bananas and was it boiled? I don't remember if we did it by boiled. But yes, banana bread is excellent. Such a good choice for a snack. It tastes good, it's very filling, and it also lasts a long time. And it's cheap. Expendable napalm on the cave. You wish to incinerate the rest of your hell diving team, Blue. I'm gonna make potato cheese ball snacks for the day. Can you give me some? Sounds delicious. No, please. Not talking about food, says Matthew. I haven't eaten since 1 p.m. Matthew, it's an opportunity for you to have dinner now, right? Come on, hop off VR, close my stream. Go get some food, please. You're gonna need the energy for your what was that bird group of yours? Your erp? Yeah, your erp. Something about chirping and whatnot. Like private bird watching. Don't know what Matthew is up to nowadays. Of course, Beth. Helldivers too. It makes me wonder if there's a mode in which the factions could indeed intermingle in the same area and, well, imagine them just fighting each other. It's a dog eat dog sort of situation. I had to bring that up. The erp private bird watching. Yes, the new Matthews group. They need to add a human faction. 100% agree. Like, um, uh, yeah, like the democratic. I can't pronounce it right. I absolutely love the CF. I actively try my best to keep them alive. Like I would run back to a swarm just to save them and give them like the super earth salute. yes. The liberals. Whoa. Hello? Okay. Interesting. Looks like I'm lying down. You know you can make the CF follow you. Oh yeah, yeah. What command was it again? They are really helpful. One of the stratagems I was hoping was just to paradrop or like to rappel down like a squad of 6 or 8 CF soldiers, and they're gonna accompany you in a mission, and that would be so good. I want there has to be a way. Follow me, quick text. Oh, okay. Enjoy your food, Matthew. I am being convinced to get Helldivers. I mean, yeah, it's a fun game. Definitely fun with friends too. The grind is mildly tedious, but it's not really something that will be on your mind in the midst of a chaotic session with your buddies. Excuse me. I thought you already got it, Crystal. I recently picked up Helldivers again a few days ago, and I've been squeezing in sessions at least once a day. I played for a few hours actually earlier. I was catching up on the war bonds. I have discovered the Joy, which is the Coyote AR, but I parked it because I might fall in love with it. It's the best AR. Incendiary rounds, medium penetration, it's 100% gonna get nerfed. So I instead moved to my second love, the Eruptor. Ah, yes, the Joy. I need to get. Well, if you're still awake later, Beth, and the kids are asleep, we can go play a few missions if you wish. Scorcher for the win. Don't you mean the Purifier? Ah, Scorcher is one thing. Bam, bam, bam. Purifier, though. You get to charge it up. Hello, Eric James. Ah, damn BMW owners. I got it. Came out when. Okay, sure. I've also recently reacquired my love for the railgun. Underappreciated ever since the nerf back then. And then there's new stuff like the Quasar and whatnot. But then the good old railgun. Ah, sub light speed projectiles straight to a charger's noggin. Mm-hmm. It's just that I've noticed the overseers, the illuminates, especially the ones with the backpacks and the shields and the spears, they are not one shot from an unsafe charged railgun, and that kind of bumps me out. Hmm. What species are you? The Hydragea. Hydragea, as Vesper pronounces it. Oh, if it isn't V. Hi, V. Pleasure seeing you here over at the side of Twitch. Hmm. You can one shot them in the face. Oh, what's happening? Let me see. Are all my Tracerinos charged? Or this? The Hydra G is so good looking. Yeah, Crystal, I gotta ask, don't you have a nice old fancy dragon already? What made you go to the route of the prehistoric greatness that is our species? Gib, there's a mod me and Doran have that makes the railgun beep before it's gonna explode. I see. Cool. I just kinda like by instinct already. Oh my goodness, this reminds me of Malevelon Creek trying to shoot the Hulks in the eye. Like, ooh, challenging. Myrionic. Pardon, I haven't been on TikTok at all. I've forgone streaming there. Crystal says the Foxy Paws model, when I wear it, can sometimes get some unwanted attention. Blue, I wanted the model that could wear and just be part of the crowd. You getting unwanted attention on your model, regardless of what it is, Crystal, means you are simply with the wrong crowd. I doubt you're gonna get anything more than playful pokes, like verbal jests. Maybe once or twice, and then like nothing's gonna happen. I've been there. Like I thought they were cool people, and then they end up being like creeps. I make jokes too. I like have like innuendos and whatnot because I'm not a kid. Uh, but then there's a right time and right place, and then when you know the joke is overused, it's not funny anymore. Pretty much the same thing Mystical Aurora had to go through with her smaller, the short stack, curvy model. Hi there, Toker. Glad you could make it to stream. Oh yeah, region locked, huh? That's why I started searching around with newer communities like this one. Pardon, well, I'll speak for myself at least. I'm no saint, Crystal. I'm far from it. But I try my best to put my manners on the table and when it counts, aka all the time. And I'm sure my community is following suit. If there's anybody creepy in my community, like unsolicited pictures being DM'd to you and whatnot, or like they're just being gross, like role playing pushy requests, let me or Vesper know, or even Mystic, and they're like insta banned. Just provide evidence. No, you're okay. Like, you're completely cool, Beth. I'm talking about the creepy stuff. Like, they would, oh God. They would, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to mention it on stream. Manners would number one be a gentle reminder about rule number one on my server, Drax. And then we go on from there. You are the creepy that works. You see, this is the fun part. You can have, you can poke fun at people, and it's completely okay. If you get offended over these small things, right? Like, again, it's not the place for you to be. Drax, if you're gonna make this a big issue, I can just show you out the door. No problem. If it was an issue with me or anybody else. Oh my god, Lit. What, Lit? Oh, the doner. Yes, I would like a shawarma with cheese, please. Because now you're making me crave. Shawarma seems like such a nice, perfect little snack on the go. Here, we actually serve it on top of rice. So, the usual like stalls, sure, you have the little thing you carve, right? And then you put it on the pita bread. But here, we Filipinos like enjoying it over some, we call it Java rice, like the yellow rice. So we would get the same thing, and then we would like put it over like the rice, and then there's like extra stuff like cucumber, onions, and whatnot, and the nice yogurty garlic sauce. Oh, and then sometimes they add like a cheese sauce too. It's delicious. 100%. Sn- yes, or a meal. Yeah, I guess yes. I do like to do RP. I just don't want to put. It's so simple. Look, I just don't DM people out of the blue saying things, unless they're open in the public saying, I am looking for role play, or like role play accepted, or like role player, something like that. Then, yeah, sure, shoot your shot. Gabe did eat the. Yes. Basically, shaved meat. Normally, lamb, chicken, and beef. Was it the mix? I always thought it was just pure beef. Yeah, ours is like a beef shawarma. Kebab is really pop. Kebabs. Ah, yes. Nice big old skewered meat. Like a whole tomato and an onion. Surprisingly, I actually eat those. To this day, though, I have like this little fear. Like, when I eat tomatoes, won't I get like appendicitis out of it? Because there's like so many little smooth seeds on it. It might get stuck in that part of your tummy. I've never had shawarma before, says Bloom. What is it? A Google result will probably be better because you'll see the actual image of the food. It's essentially, yeah, just meat over an open fires. I think it's seasoned and then carved up, like shaved ish, and put into like a pita bread, like a round soft bread. Sounds nice. Where is it from? Um, I here we just call it a shawarma shack or shawarma place. I think it's you will find it where they serve Middle Eastern food, Turkish stuff. Kage says, I thought it would only be in Spain because Musulman influence. But seems in Musulman or But here it is in Poland too, which makes me feel baffled. I think food has been able to stretch its delicious tendrils all across the globe, which is actually a great thing. If there is one thing I wish each culture would actually push, it would be the recipes and offerings of food that they have. Ah, we have places called food courts here in the Philippines. Predominantly, you find them over at malls. It's essentially an enormous canteen, right? An enormous canteen which has multicultural places in it. You have your Filipino food, your Chinese, your Japanese, and so on and so forth. It's a place to go to when you don't know what food to pick. So you sort of just window shop what to get. And today I want some Indian curry on rice. Good night, sword berries. Told you should sleep if you're tired. All this talk of food has made me hungry. I haven't eaten lunch yet either. Well, time for you to get some sustenance, some healthy ones, I hope. I still have some okonomiyaki waiting for me in the fridge after stream. It's nice. It has shrimp, it has octopus, the usual cabbage, and oddly enough, it has like pork in it. Okonomi. Oh, it's so good. And then it has like katsuboshi on top, which is essentially super thin slices of dried bonito. It's like bonito flakes. I had okonomiyaki before. I mean, I had takoyaki before the okonomiyaki kage. I think it was because of you. You said you had some Japanese. So that sounds like a good idea for dinner. I think I'll make some pot stickers in a few minutes. Oh, pot stickers, a nice hot pot, some rice noodles or something, veggies, delicious. No, did it just run out? Hold on. Swapping something out. Depleted. So get this, unplug, put this here, replug. I really need to probably find a bigger power bank than the small 10K one. Okay. There we go.
Almost touching it will
Whoops.
almost do.
Okay.
There's a part of me that's always true. Always. All the things that you promised with your eyes, I see
Hmm.
in yours too. Now
The sweet potato slice scared me a bit as I saw it moving, and they told me it's just because of the. It's because of the temperature. You're gonna see it like dancing on top.
almost you, almost me,
Drifting. You look at that, it's already 2 hours and 15. No, Vesper, unfortunately, no. She's at work. So it's just me doing a solo little expedition over at this cave, as you can see. See you around, Marnage. Get some good rest. Sorry, I was just looking through my DMs. I'm still here. Ibusana wa baka desu. Why is it an endearing way of calling me an idiot? Because Geb is always let's me blow you up intentionally. Please, I don't. I try my absolute best. I hold you a higher value than the CF soldiers I so fervently wish to assist. I even go out of my own way to ensure their survival. Of course. Hmm. I want an okonomiyaki soba. So the okonomiyaki I got, Kage, it was this thick. It was like an inch and a half thick. It was ridiculously filling. And it was $6 for a whole box of it. Six lids. One, it's called turret crossfire. Two, you have to blame the voteless, right? They get within so much proximity of me trying to save you. The shrapnel from my eruptor just inadvertently mildly grazes you, and the incidents occur. But it is within my full intention to always make the whole team succeed the mission in one piece. Yes, we were at the Illuminate infested mega city. I can't quite recall what name it is. But secret time. Probably won't be back on before the end of the stream. I'll see you around, Crystal. Hope you enjoy. Ah. Hmm. 9 more minutes. And then after today, it's gonna be the weekend. Ah. Hi, T. Billy. Why are you not helping keep control of Hellmire investigating the Gloom Ocean? I have received some rather undemocratic reports of infighting going on, and I had to make sure the citizens of that specific megacity were not under the suspicions that I cast upon. Of course, when I say make sure, I make sure they are blow upable. But me and Litz, we did end up over at the bot planet, and yes, it was too much just for two divers. Yeah, but has anyone made a TikTok fan edit of it? There was a few before. It was like little, as you've said, edits. Pretty entertaining. Why do you ask? We still need to complete that mission, though. I know the perfect song for an edit. Oh God, is it gonna be a good epic edit, or is it gonna be a meme montage edit? I'm very smug on that. Okay. I mean, I saw the edit Matthew posted for the app. Right, I gotta ban Matthew. Thanks for reminding me. I don't know how to do that stuff, so Slits, so it ain't for me. That's okay. Phone was at 2%, so I had to switch over to the PC. Okay. A thirst trap edit. I remember having a few of those before, and they were, if they were like last year. It, it, yep, again, it was entertaining to watch, and I appreciate the hard work put into it. What I liked the most was the edits made by a friend of mine who used to moderate the server. Nika, she used to make really, how should I say this, soulful, deep, emotional edits. Like, uh, it was epic at the same time, but it evoked, it wasn't brain rot there. It's still over at the Discord if you wish to access it. But yeah, the thirst. Oh God. Back then, when I had members in the community, it was all into that thirst trap thing. Yes, there was a lot of those edits. I never asked for them to make it, but I'd never stopped them from making them all the same. There's the one video of me just. I was just sitting down. Like I came from standing up and then I was sitting down. Eh, And somehow that got turned into like a sexy video. Okay. I mean, it makes people laugh and smile. I don't really see any harm in it. I'm still waiting on a Matthew R word edit. Oh, What made me say the word again, Bev? I don't remember. Oh my god. I don't remember. So it never happened so far. Money. I no. It was because we. Oh right. No, I remember now. Uh. Well. Yeah. Yeah. So it did happen. Shit. Thanks to the combined effort of a lot. Note Zach, Anone, Anone M, Bev, the government of Lithuania, the FBI, and all of those that wanted me to stop stalling near the end of my stream had it made the seemingly impossible possible. Bribes always work. I mean, it depends on the amount of fruits put in the basket. Bribing works proven right here. Hey, hey, it was the doctor telling me to end stream, so that's why I closed stream that last time. As much as I wanted to go listen to more music, I think that was on a Monday. Mhm. The Monday, yes, I remember. Hmm. Speaking of Mondays, again, I have 2 days off. My goodness, the things we could do. Hi, it is Star. Hyena. Hi, Vesper. Geb, once a 3-5 is reached, is that another reset? Yes. And thanks for the reminder. I think I may have set the expo multipliers too low. I was fiddling with the settings the other day. The leveling up is supposed to be really quick. Like you can get to level 20 in less than a week. Like a few days. What is the last movie or TV show you saw that you would recommend? Invincible. Go watch that. But we're slowly getting there. September is still a few weeks long, so we still have time to prepare. Prepare. I'm already level 15 because you chat a super whole lot. I think you're even outpacing Beth. I need to check the leaderboards. My tongue snagged there. Leaderboard. Leaderboards. Birds. Leaderboards. Stupid Matthew. Oh, I'm actually in third. Ah. So that means you're putting yourself out there as a target for the others to remove your levels. Is that what you're saying? So bold of you. I'm over 2k XP above him. I mean, obviously, he who is on the top will obviously have those at the bottom wanting to take said place. Beware Axel and the other minions of Beth. How about I donate one level to each hero of light? I don't know, a certain demon king can intercept that. If he so chooses. And yeah, that's too much work. No, I'm not gonna do that. Mm-mm. Manually assign. Let's see, what do I look like without my boots? Oh, there we go. Patterns. It's weird. It's like I went wading in water. A lot of work for me, yes. Are you chilling? Yes, I am actually on the couch. Except I am on a stool in game. Stool. Gab, is the stool a part of your Avi? Or do you just find it's part of my avatar? Before I used to have a full set. Had a couch, a lampshade, a rug, a coffee table, some like potted plants. I even had a tent and a light. I have yet to put them back. I feel like those leg wrappings make you look a bit. What do you mean they make me look shorter? They go late. Why would you want me to lay down? No. I'll lie down on when we're hanging out in VR chat. Speaking of which, who's online? Hmm. Oh, okay. Look, I'm gonna take them off, okay? There. Better. Brazilian Friday, yes. Do you have different avies for different outfits or just toggles? One avatar, many outfits. I am skirting on the 500 MB limit for uploading. To be fair, I only have two outfits. It's the expedition one, three. The swimming trunks, and I'm sure you're all familiar with this. The good old coat. What? You can have like this look which Litz finds bothersome because I retract two of my other ears down, so I'm only left with four. This is how I used to look. I had a pop top collar and everything. Fancy that it swishes. And then it like reacts to my. You are at 2 hours and 35. You're right. I am. Should I end stream? Or do I persist? Let's see. Oh my goodness, I'm looking at blue. Red screenshots at Hellmeyer. Terrible place. Hmm. Hello, Hermit. Bye, Hermit. Blue is asking a probably polarizing question. And he goes, I wonder if anyone here that prefers shop bought bread over homemade bread. Homemade bread is actually hard to do properly. Most of the time, it's a shop made ones that are just clearly better. Unless your friend's a baker, for example. I remember trying to form the pancake dough into like little balls and just toss them in my little toaster. They did not they did not work out as what I expected them to be. So yeah. People forget how much of a time consuming process making pastries actually is. Like most of the time making a simple muffin, for example, just it's a lot of effort and ingredients. Not to mention cleanup after. So I see the practicality of simply buying from a store that makes it. So here you are preparing it for 3 hours and it takes you less than 3 minutes to consume the whole thing. Baking is tasty chemistry. That's true. Blueberry says, this is my first time here. It's such a chill vibe. Welcome to the stream. Make yourself comfortable. I do enjoy the process of baking, says Vesper, but it sucks when you're the one cleaning up from it sometimes. True. The cleanup is a lot of work. Clearly, a lot of work. You have to unlock the secrets of the universe to get the bread right. Hi, Kendall. Lost my legs. Barely.
Almost flew,
At that hour again, huh?
almost doing things we used to do. There's a girl here, and she's almost you. Almost all the things that you
A shame that the TTS didn't work. TTS? What was the message? I must have not seen it. Hello, Asa. Oh, okay. I think I like this better for now.
flirting with this disaster
Or a chance.
became me.
How does the coatless look work?
It named me as a fool to be.
Nope.
Almost blue, almost touching it will almost do.
You know, I probably shouldn't delay today. Just go soon.
All the things that you promised with your
Soon.
eyes, I see in hers too. Now your eyes are red from crying.
What's the panning shot look?
Almost you, almost me.
Okay, if you say so. You sure? Misinterpretations. Finishing some other things up before I leave to drive. Drive? Good luck with your drive, Pierre. Hope it goes well and you don't run into any trees, fire hydrants, mailboxes, or other vehicles. Wishing you a safe trip. 16 minutes passed, huh? I'm glad the usual enforcers of me or going into overtime is not present. Probably busy hell diving. Good for them. Which means I can go say. I was about to tell you. Tell me what. Yeah, that's due for the 7:30. I should go, huh? Okay. Should I start saying my farewells? Hi, good morning, good afternoons, and good nights. Emerald, so eager with it. Alright. A nice quiet game of golf. It's not gonna be golf I'll be playing. Oh, Wilson Codes. I'm surprised you're here. I'm gonna miss your streams. Oh, that's true. Your schedule only permits you to join me during this day, huh? Oh, don't worry, there's always next time. Fine. A few more minutes. Might as well. Maybe 5. But please, those of you that have said goodbye already, go ahead. Don't let me stop you. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Truly, I do. See you, Blueberry, Draxor, Emerald, Saint Hizzy, Little Bro Codes, Pierre, Kendall, Mitzi.
almost flew.
We all know the 5 minutes will.
Almost doing
At most, Drax, maybe 11 minutes, so it hits 3 hours.
there's a girl
Maybe, perchance.
and she's almost you. Almost all the things that you promised.
The Ice Tiger. Hi there, Ro.
I see in hers too.
Like how we stalled Red from going to bed. That's on Red.
Eyes are red from crying.
Cave Dragon, huh? Bye, Waffle. I couldn't read.
Flirting with
See you around, Kage.
disaster.
How am I today? I'm okay. Thanks for asking.
It named me
See you around. Keep the weeb energy strong, Kage.
to be. Almost blue. Almost touching it will almost do. There's a part of me that's always true. Always. All the things that you promised with your eyes, I see in hers too. Now your eyes are red from crying. Almost you.
Guy, we're so close to 10 minutes. I mean, 3 hours. It's less than 10 minutes. Might as well. Or I can just go. You guys can go, please. Thank you for joining today's stream. I think everyone's gone. Yes. Except Fluffy, perchance. The stall, the one thing I don't want to happen in the pie. Elvira's has been hell ever since he added the damn roaches. Don't pay attention to the 70 viewer count. Okay. Sure. Doran hates the dragons. Just let me listen to my music. You're free to hang out if you want. I'll just be here. What you saying? Stream's over. So one moment Blue was over at the train station, walking with Mom. Now he's dealing with the cat downstairs. I see. Oh. Feline companion. Making me drink the rest of my juice, huh? Damn, thanks under hydration. Damn, a little bit spilled on my chin. Oops. What happened to the viewers? I thought it was at 68. Now it's at 74. Chat, the stream's over. Curtains have been drawn. The script has ended. I'm here but long gone. So what are you doing here? Why are you still sticking around? That would be the password. It's in plain sight, Code Dog. It's nothing fancily hidden or anything. The password would be just 2 words. But what would be those 2 words? Gab, if you need to go, go. I'll let us keep you. Why is my text to speech not working? No, stay till 3 hours. I mean, we have 5 minutes. Pierre is right. I can hear you guys pressing print screen. Control Alt S. Whatever is best for your hand. Oh, of course. Are cats better than dogs? Bad life advice. One way to find out is to pit them against each other in a game of chess. Then you will divine your answer from the experiment. Bad life advice, chat.
Almost flew, almost doing things we used to do. There's a girl
I don't
and she's
think we have any cats in the server. No, we do have one. It would be, well, a cat bee. It's a tiger bee. It's Drax.
things that you
Speaking of the feline deviant.
with your eyes, I see in her.
Oh, yeah, of course. Pierre is a cat as well. A feline. Most orange, yellowish in color, unless I'm colorblind.
Almost blue. Flirting with this disaster became me. It named me as a fool we aim to be.
Does Pierre like lasagna? Something you gotta ask directly, not through me. I do not like lasagna.
There's a part of me that's
No, let's give him a chance. Pierre, do tell why you do not prefer lasagna. Was it a bad serving from a restaurant? A particular component of the recipe which just does not agree with your taste?
with your eyes. I see in hers too. Now your eyes are red from crying. Almost you.
I think it's a tomato sauce. It's overwhelming and too sweet. Then you need to get a serving in which they cut down on the sugar. Get something more tomato chunky instead of the sweet and puree. That's the beauty about recipes. If it's a factor of taste, it's something you can adjust. More salt, less salt. More sugar, or less sugar. The mushrooms or none at all. The only time I wish there was overwhelming sauce more than whatever is supposed to be sauced on is when there's like cream. It's like beef with creamy mushroom on it. It's like a cream and with the cheese on it and mushroom, and you just pour it over rice, and oh, that's so good. Or carbonara. Fair, yeah. Emerald says we are past 3 hours. I'll do my part and leave. See you around, Emerald. I'm glad you were able to tune into stream. It's a pleasure having you here. Good luck with the rest of work you have this week. Don't push yourself too hard. And don't forget you have friends over at the Discord like Blue, Red, Doran, everybody else. I'm glad you guys are getting along. Oh, to be cursed with lactose intolerance. Sorry, Pierre. I didn't know. Absolute sadness. Devastating. Not being able to consume things that normally would enjoy. Imagine not being able to eat cheesecake, ice cream, milkshake. So much. Not being able to drink milk tea. Imagine. Such a loss. Pizza and all sorts of other pasta dishes. Hi, Ren. Equinox wanted me to say hello to you. I hope you brush your teeth. Your smile should be as dazzling as mine. Rax says I've cursed myself with intolerance. I drink lactose free milk, and apparently your body stops producing lactase after it doesn't need it. Oh. I see. Cats get lactose intolerant when they grow older, so I think it fits with the song. Please, Pierre, I do believe you're anything but ancient. Not a fossil like Beth and I. Hi, Ren. You missed the message that I also thoroughly crafted for you earlier. You now have to charge Equinox $5 for this extra one. I've never given my cat milk, says Blue. Just water. But despite that, he is rather on the chunky side. This is very true. I'm not a fossil. No, not yet. Jests Pierre. He broke past the 3-hour mark, says Mitsuo was lurking since earlier. What? I don't know. Sometimes conversations just happen. I linger on. We've served the greatest staller of all time. Stall.
Flirting with this disaster became me. It named me as a fool we aim to be. Oh,
Alright, chat. It's been more than 3 hours.
all
And
those touches
as much as I can stall the whole day,
there's a
let me go end stream so you can get about your lives without me interrupting. Me having a small window open as you play a game, or my audio being intrusive as you do something else. My apologies, chat.
that you
So about that 5 minutes. Too late. The FBI is here. The IRS is knocking on my door. The government of Lithuania is sending their choppers.
from crying. Almost you, almost me.
What to do? I'm having trouble eating all this beige. Beige. Brown. So do you plan to play Silk Song? Eventually, Drax, when I have time. There's a few games I have on backlog. There's this one horror. Let me see the title of it. It's called Kronos: The New Dawn. It was like this horror thing set in Poland. And then I have Hell Is Us. Those are like some of my games on my backlog.
Promise with your
Studio Ruach says, send me a letter and I'll arrive before stream finishes. Alright, I'm gonna go. Because of popular demand. Right. Well, fan of horror? Yes. Oh, Little Nightmares. Yes. Long ago, I've also seen Little Nightmares too. But here I'm stalling. Chat, thanks for joining me this Friday. I will see you again on Monday. I'm going to enjoy this Saturday and Sunday off. And I hope you do too as well. Else, no need to thank me. Thank you for supporting me, chat. I we're right on track with stuff, and yeah, come on, go play your games, do your chores, go pay your bills, the things you need to do, go talk to your girl best friend who's clearly giving you hints already, and you know, this and that. Make sure your 7th gear, 8 and 9 is prepared. And happy Friday, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. To those of you in the night, good night, chat. We'll see you next time.